Josh, long time coming. Tell me, why are you making this video now?
Uh, because karate combat has gone to the point of no return on a deal that they broke with us, like a legally binding deal that we made between Kanpai Pandas, NFT holders, and Karate Combat for a contest that we held. And at this point, they've essentially just told me to go fuck myself. So you know, welcome to reality and the court of public opinion. You're not going to win this one.
So obviously, there's going to be a large chunk of people that have no idea what this is. So tell us a little bit. What was the deal in kind of a little bit
Yeah.
about that?
So nobody knew who Karate Combat was like 2 years ago. Like nobody did. They'd been around for a few years, but then they switched over and they turned themselves into a DAO. They launched a token, and David Aho, who's the founder of Karate Combat, came to me. I didn't go to him. He came to me and said, "Hey, like I know you're in the fight space. I know you got Kanpai Pandas. They're huge into the sports space. Like we want to make a deal with you." I said, "Okay, what do you want to do?" And he's like, "I don't know. I mean, we're totally open. Like, give us some ideas." And we kind of came up with the idea of, all right, why don't we hold like a year long fantasy league, right, where panda holders can place bets and play fantasy karate combat. Then we'll do it like on each event. So we agreed to that deal for to go over like 10 or 12 events, whatever it was, and they offered me $1 million at seed round valuation. And I literally almost fucking laughed when he wrote that. And I'm like, yeah, we'll take that deal, right? Because it's an absolutely absurd deal to play fantasy karate combat. Um,
Right.
so essentially, our holders would log in, they'd watch Karate Combat, they'd tweet about Karate Combat, they'd post their fight cards. It got a lot of buzz going around about Karate Combat, and so that was essentially the deal that was made, but not honored.
A lot of people don't know this, but you actually helped grow Karate Combat and really helped kind of take them to the next level. You brought Roy Jones there. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I helped grow Karate Combat in a huge way, in such a big way that people literally, if you ask around crypto Twitter, people think that I own Karate Combat, right? That's how much that I was pushing Karate Combat. I still get like people whenever they were in Denver like a week ago, I got a major influencer and he hit me on Telegram. He's like, "Hey man, can I get some tickets to your event?" And I'm like, "Bro, I don't own Karate Combat." I mean, like I've had to tell hundreds of people this. I don't own Karate Combat. Get with them, they can get you tickets. Like that's how influential I was in growing Karate Combat and putting them on the map because nobody knew who the fuck they were. And so, I remember David, hit me and I'm like, they were hosting an event in Orlando. And he was like, "Bro, can you make it? Can you bring, Roy Jones Jr.?" I literally fired up my plane at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon and fucking flew down there. We made it just in time. They put Roy Jones up on the pit. They're interviewing him the whole time. They're using him for promotion. I mean, I brought Mike Perry. I brought several other stars. My business partners brought people to Karate Combat just to help from a promotional side. It was nothing I needed to do from like what the contract that we had and the agreement that we had on the fantasy league. Like this was above and beyond. On top of that, I literally have, and for people that don't know, we have one of the top 5 global MMA podcasts. Myself, Mike Perry, Mac Malley. It's called Overdogs, and we have the biggest stars on the planet on every single week. And for months, I would always be like, "Oh, have you seen Karate Combat?" Most of them hadn't. And I would bring up a clip and I'd play like a 60-second clip of Karate Combat just so they could get the reaction from the star and then they could use that in their marketing. Again, I didn't need to do any of that stuff. It was me just going above and beyond what I needed to do to help them grow. At that point, I had no intentions of like starting a fight league or anything like that. And even if I did, I don't look at Karate Combat as competition. They're in a totally different kind of genre of fighting. And I liked the guys involved. I really genuinely liked David. Me and him had many long conversations. But yeah, I helped grow them in an astronomical way. On top of just having like tweeting about it all the time, having all the panda holders, the contest, the podcast, bringing them stars. Like, yeah, I helped put them on the map for sure.
So now it seems like it got to that boiling point where you just kind of had enough and you were just like, I'm done. Like, I'm done being quiet. And they wanted you to be quiet.
Yeah. So here's the problem: is they had paid out every single event up until the last one, right? Well, the last one was the biggest, okay, because it was not only was it a big event, but it was also the season long winners getting paid out, and that was a significant percentage of like the total pot, right? So they gave us $1 million, and this is how we did it because I want to be transparent on it. So we did 750,000 worth of the token into the contest, and we kept 250,000 for CanPie, right? It was all above board. It was told to people. All of it was out there. We were completely transparent on that. So when we threw our first event in November for Dirty Boxing, the private event that exploded, we had a tiff about one of their fighters fighting on our card. To me, it was really not a big deal. They went on Twitter, they went on a tirade talking about Dirty Boxing and we're scumbags and we're this. It was just the dumbest shit, right? And I'm sitting here trying to like relish in the fact that we just pulled off this like massive event that was getting. I mean, it was the hottest fight league on Instagram for like the first 10 days after, and it was totally private, non-televised. It was a massive success. So I'm like trying to relish in that, hanging out with my wife, my friends, my family, and these guys are just churning on Twitter, right? So the next day I called Aho and I went off on his ass. And I'm like, dude, like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, yeah, CanPie Pandas, or CanPie, the original token allocation of 250K. Believe me, it's not 250K now. It's probably fucking 20 grand. But whatever that token allocation was is off the table. Like, you're not getting it. So of course I dog cuss him. I'm like, you have no legal standing to do this in any fashion. But I kept my mouth shut publicly because the Panda holders were having their final event, which was the biggest payout in December. Okay. And I'm like, I don't want to cause an issue for these guys that have grinded for Karate Combat for a year and a half to not get their tokens for some reason. Okay. So I kept my mouth shut. Then all of a sudden it's in March, and one of my employees is like, hey man, we've been hitting Karate Combat for, 2 months now about getting the final payout. And they keep telling us every week, yeah, we're going to get it into this week, into this week. So then this was, I guess, like last week. I said, give them one more week. And if they don't do something at that point, I will get involved. And it wasn't fucking 2 days later. David Aho hits my employee on Telegram and sends over a tweet that one of the Panda holders had written out, like, hey, when can I get paid for winning Karate Combat 3 months ago? Okay. And David sends that to him and says, we're not going to pay Karate Panda holders now because they're talking about it publicly. Like, the fact that you owe that amount of money to people, and you think you have the right to be like, yeah, you can't talk about us owing you money publicly or we're not going to pay you. Like, fuck you. Like, to me, that's blackmail, right? That's blackmail. You do this and I'll give you money. You don't do this and I won't give you money, right? That's fucking blackmail. So I didn't take kindly to that. So I said, okay, there's strike one. Then literally the next day, now more Panda holders are getting riled up, right? We're all owed money. Like, where's our money? Where's our money? And Aho starts to respond to these people on Twitter. Oh, you don't know 10% of the story, da 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 da. And I'm like, that's the final straw. The fact that you're threatening my employees and threatening Panda holders, and then you're making up shit about you don't know 10% of the story. Here's the other 90% of the story. You owe the fucking tokens, legally obligated to it. Panda holders did nothing wrong to you. They're doing nothing wrong by asking where their money is because you've been sitting on your ass for 3 months not wanting to pay. You're just looking for an excuse not to pay. Just like you told CanPie, company you're not going to pay. So I said, fuck this. If they're, that was the whole reason I was quiet, was so that the Panda holders could get paid, and then I would handle my shit personally with them, right? So that's why I'm coming out now. What was that?
You were looking out for them.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, that's my community that I've hung out with for the last, 3 years. Like, I care about these guys and I wanted to see them get their money. But like, at this point, if you're threatening the Panda holders aren't going to get paid, these people aren't going to get paid, then fuck you. We can handle it in the court of public opinion, and we can handle it in the legal system. I'm going to win them both, right? The fact that he has allowed it to get to this point where I'm now putting out a video trashing them, and not even trashing them. I'm just telling exactly what happened. That is beyond. Right. That is like omega levels of stupidity. When you already owe the tokens, you already look bad, and now you're just going to look worse. And so
David that you're working with, David. So I want people to understand that it's not a seam, or at least it's the person that's behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's the main owner of Karate Combat. So then he sent me a text because now he's scared, right? Because he knows he's screwed. So he sent me a text earlier. Oh, well, I'll pay the Panda holders now, but you got to sign like this doc and this doc and this doc and this doc. You can't talk about us. No disparagement, blah, 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 blah. Like, bro, fuck you, David. I'm not signing shit. You're going to pay the tokens either way, whether the court system makes you or, you know, you just get run on Twitter so hard that you have to pay them. I'm not signing anything. I don't need to. I lived up to every obligation, be above and beyond what I needed to help these guys like grow their company. And here's the crazy thing. Since I put out a tweet yesterday saying I was going to call them out, I've had 20 people in my DMs talking about they owe me tokens, they owe me money, they owe me this. All you have to do is do a Google search and you'll see Karate Combat owes me for this, they owe me for this. So, you know, this was the dumbest possible move for him to make, because the floodgates could burst open at this point with people being like, oh yeah, they owe me tokens, they owe me this, they owe me that. Because I've already got
this is like the straw that broke the camel's back. Let me ask you this: what's the next step?
So, you know, I don't know. I mean, I've had my legal side ready to go ever since like November when they told me to get fucked on my tokens. The only reason I haven't done anything is because I wanted Panda holders to get paid on the final contest. But with that said, and I fucking hate lawsuits. I've been in business. I've run so many businesses and built so many businesses over the last 17 years. I've sued one person for stealing money from me. That's it. I don't get in lawsuits. But if you're going to blatantly tell me to go fuck myself, right, and you're not going to pay me, like, I have no other option. And I've got thousands of Telegram messages. It's clear. I mean, there was a joint deal publicly all over Karate Combat stuff, all over Twitter stuff. They had Kanpai Pandas all over, like we had our logo and on all their shit in their arena, in their pit, all that stuff. Like, dude, it's so clownish that it's gotten to this point. But now I just feel like this is how the majority of crypto operates at this point. It's a bunch of scumbags. And they think they can get away with it. You know, that's the problem. It's like there's never any repercussions in this space. And guess what? I'm a businessman. I'm not the 25-year-old, you know, crypto kid that has 3 NFTs. Like, I will come after your ass. Like, I'm not one to be pushed around. And I also feel like that's why I need to be making this statement today. This is the main reason, right? Is because I've got a bunch of Panda holders that are owed money and they don't have a voice to make themselves heard, right? Because they don't have enough followers. They don't have this. They don't have the clout. They don't have the connections. Da-da-da-da-da. I've got, my audience is big enough and my pockets are deep enough to come after your ass. So, you know, you screwed up, homeboy. You screwed up.
Let me ask you this: how does dirty boxing play a factor in this? Because I think that this is a big chunk too.
My understanding is they got mad because we had a guy that was loosely affiliated with Karate Combat that fought on our card in November. Who cares? Like, one has nothing to do with the other. One is a token allocation deal for Kanpai Pandas to handle a contest, which we did, and they're trying to use something else as an excuse for them not to pay. One has nothing to do with the other. No court in the world would say, oh yeah, you're in good standing here, not paying them. Like, no.
Before we wrap, I got one more question. I just want to understand from their perspective. All they're saying is that we're not going to pay and that's it. They don't have a leg to stand on is basically what I'm 100%. Saying.
100%. They have no leg to stand on. They owe the money. And the fact that they've drug it out this far, I cannot imagine being that stupid that I would let a situation go this far and blow up in my face because I wouldn't pay a bunch of worthless fucking tokens that I owed to somebody. Like, the shit's down fucking 98% this year in the last, 365 days. Like, it is worthless. So why would I not just give away the tokens to satisfy an issue and an obligation that I had and not have any of this come out? Because this could be the dam that breaks, because I know there's plenty of people out there for a fact that haven't been paid on a lot of different stuff. So, I'll speak first. You guys are willing, do whatever you want. Doesn't matter to me. I'll stand alone. I don't give a shit.
Last thing, Josh, any message you got out there for any final words, anything you want to say?
Pay the fucking tokens, Aho.